Hello guys, and welcome to the FilmBox. Today we're going to be talking about a third-party lens, specifically the 7Artisans 50mm 1.8 autofocus. That's right, autofocus. This is actually the first autofocus lens that they have come out with, and honestly, it is a perfect time to get into photography because we have all these third-party lenses coming out with autofocus lenses now. Before, they used to only specialize in manual focus, so their lenses were really cheap, but for someone like me, it was kind of difficult to be able to manual focus lenses, especially when they have crazy apertures like 1.4, 1.2. They're fun to use, but they can also be a pain, and you really have to slow down to get the picture right and get in focus. So let's talk about this one right here and see if it's worth your money. So to start out with, this lens retails at $228. So that's about $29 more than the Sony native lens. So you gotta ask yourself, why does it cost $29 more than the actual Sony brand one? And is it worth it? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Maybe. It really comes down to what you're looking for, and this lens has two features that sets it apart from the Sony lens. So we're gonna go over that and see if there's something that you might like. So first, let's talk about the build quality on this lens. Now, 7Artisans is known to have pretty good build quality. I've owned a couple of their lenses before, and I've never had an issue on that part. Like for example, this one right here has a metal housing. It's not made of just plastic, and it feels pretty solid in the hand. It's very sturdy, even though it's a little bit too big for it to be a 50mm 1.8 compared to other lenses. I'm guessing they had to use the extra space to get the autofocus motors to work. It is bigger than other lenses that you find of the same focal length, but it is pretty lightweight, so they do compensate for that right there. Now, there are two key features that this lens have that you won't get on your Sony native lens, and that would be you have a dedicated aperture ring. So this ring right here allows you to set your aperture just by turning it, which is a cool little feature to have if you like to get a little bit more like in the focus and do everything yourself instead of letting the camera. Me personally, I shoot on aperture priority a lot, so I just leave it on the little red A, which is automatic, and that will allow me to switch it back and forth with the camera. Now, another cool feature that this thing has is the autofocus manual focus switch. So all you have to do is switch this little switch right here back and forth, and that will allow you to switch between autofocus and manual focus. Now that is really nice to have. I know some people love to have that so you don't have to do it through the camera menu, because that can slow you down. So a lot of people like it, and a lot of people don't care about it. Me personally, I'm thinking that if I'm buying this lens and it's autofocus, I'm most likely gonna keep it on autofocus for 99% of the time. There's that 1% that I will have to go to manual focus, and well, it is a nice feature to have. So for $29 more, you're gonna get those two things that come with the lens. Now, there are two flaws that I see with this lens, and honestly, it's gonna be the same thing I just told you, and that would be the ring and the switch. You might ask yourself why. Pretty simple. Well, three flaws actually. The first ring that you have right here is the focusing ring. Now this ring is very, very stiff. This is the stiffest ring I've ever used on any lens. And another stiff ring would be the aperture. Like, you have to really force it to be able to switch it. I'm not sure if that's something that was part of the design, so you maybe don't have to like accidentally switch it, but it's pretty stiff. Now, this is the complete opposite when it comes to the autofocus and the manual focus switch, because it's very, very flimsy. That's the first thing I noticed whenever I got it out of the box. I bumped into it just with my finger, grazed it, and it's already switching. So there's not much force that you need to put into it for it to switch. And that's not a good thing, because whenever I used this lens for the first photo shoot I did with it, I accidentally bumped it into manual focus, and I was thinking, man, why is the camera not focusing? I thought maybe it was my camera, so I turned it off and turned it back on. And then it occurred to me, oh, this thing has a switch. Let me look into it. And yeah, I bumped it with my finger whenever I was getting or holding the camera, and I had it on manual focus the whole time. So I wished, instead of putting so much stiffness on the aperture ring, if they would have just made it a little bit more tactile and nice on the actual switch. So that being said, those are really the flaws that I see with this lens. But let's talk about the performance. Now, the performance is pretty nice. I've noticed that every photo that I took with manual focus is not the fastest autofocus, but I don't mind that because I'm not someone that photographs weddings and things like that, so I don't have it to have really fast. I like to take my time whenever I'm taking photos. So whenever I shot with this one, I noticed that the autofocus performed pretty well, especially if the model was moving. There was no issues with that. Now I did have the chance to use this with one of my friends, Zena. She's a great photographer and a model, so she's been blessed with both talents. Unfortunately, I can only do one, so that's why I stay behind the camera. But yeah, I'm gonna link her Instagram below so you guys can check her workout and give her a follow. So here's the moment you guys been waiting for. Let me show you what the lens can do. So I hope this video helped you make the decision whether to get this lens or not. My goal is to be able to inform you because I know that I like to look at reviews before making any purchase, and YouTube is a great source to do so. And if you do decide to buy the lens, we do have an affiliate link. And what that means is if you use the link to purchase the lens, we get a small portion of the earnings, and that just helps support the channel. And if there's something that I missed about the lens that you'd like to know about, just leave it in the comments and I'll happily answer any of your questions. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.